Well, I refreshed and I can see myself, but you guys can't. Well, hey, I think we have video.
Well,
Yep, we do.
And
I don't know what happened. I don't know what happened. You guys should be able to see me now. I'm not going to pretend I even know because I have no clue. Maybe we'll blame it on the solar flares or the wind. I don't know. The fairies. I shouldn't say that out loud. We're not going to blame the fairies for anything. No. Let's delete that one, that last sentence, that last thought. Oh my goodness. Oh, I'm glad you guys can see me and hear me now. Yay. I refreshed my screen and it didn't change anything. And I was going to say, okay, I think we're just going to go and do a native live stream and see, and come do the live stream that way. But I'm glad you guys are here and that you can see me and hear me. Yay. So I was just, welcome everybody. I'm so glad you're with me. And yeah, that's right. I'm thinking that's Stephanie, but yes, we can hear you. I blame the Democrats. Oh my gosh. All right. I'm just checking. Yep. No. All right. At least I'm here. And let's intend that this is going to be a steady stream now. Well, welcome everybody. I'm so glad you're with me this afternoon. Today is Tuesday, April 9th. And I was just saying that here in Thelma, Wisconsin, it is like extremely windy. Those wind gusts are rattling doors and windows, and the sun is out periodically, and big billowy clouds are moving in quite fast, and it's really strong energy out there today. Yeah. And I think we can attest to that, right? Oh my gosh, because I was watching Polly Joe's show earlier today at noon Eastern, and I was there. I got there a little bit late, a lot of late. I was there like 25 minutes after she started, and I noticed she blinked out for a little bit too, and we don't know why, have no clue, but at least she came back, and so did I, and yeah, and so today's card draw is really very interesting. Yeah, I'm gonna jump right into it, okay? Because we've got a couple cards to work through. I only listed one because technically that is the only card that came out of the actual shuffle of the deck. Yeah, as I wasn't even putting the cards away. I had them in my hand still. And there was a few cards that literally dropped out of the deck. They shouldn't have dropped out of the deck because of the way that I was holding them. And I said, oh, okay, well, we'll cover those too. Obviously, they support the first card. And it's kind of strange because, look who shows up. Shaman's Death. We had Shaman's Death yesterday, Death and Rebirth, as a support card to the first card, which was Burden Basket. Right? And I was saying that this is, just looking at the image, this is a very powerful image here. And just looking at, he has bats on his face. This is a shaman's face, and he's got bats, both white and black. And in some cultures, they might even call that heyoka, the white and the black. Yeah. Yep. Very interesting card that he would show up back-to-back days, right? So we're going to talk about that a bit. I'm just going to scroll through and make sure I say hi to everybody that's here. Hang on. Oh, Stephanie's doing a lot of posting. Thank you, Stephanie. Okay, so I did say hello to Julie. Julie's here. Hello, Julie. And let's see. Oops. Vicky is here. Hello, Vicky Foster. Good to have you here. Aren't you glad I'm back? You can see me now. Yeah. And I got to scroll up a little bit more here. And Christina's here. Christina's good to have you here. It's good to have you here in the chat. And Rob is here. Yes. Thank you, Rob, for letting me know. You can see me now. And oh, come on. Let's doesn't want to scroll. And Gina's here too. Hello, Gina. So it's a pleasure to see you too. All right. Yeah, we got a lot of good shows going on this week. Scrolling up. It'd be nice if the scroll bar actually was a little bit easier to work with today. No, you can't. This is the card. This is the card. See, you got the card. Shaman's death. I know. Such a joker. Joker. And Pat's here too. Good afternoon, Pat. Good to have you here. And Bobby's here. I can hear you. Hello, friend. I had a droning hum down the chimney a while ago with this wind. I know. Bobby and I live kind of in the same general area. I think we're 30 minutes apart, Bobby? Something like that. And yes, the wind is quite strong. In fact, it startled George a little while ago because you could hear it coming on the exhaust stack to the water heater because we have, radiant heat in the floor, and you can hear the wind on the stack, and it kind of startled George a little bit. Yeah. And Vicky says, love Polly Joe's show. She's amazing. Yes, she is. Sorry I didn't tune into your lives as much as I'd like, but it's later here in the UK, and I have to stick to my autistic son routine. So just popped in to quick say hi and thank you for all you do. Hi, everybody. Well, I'm so glad you did, Vicky. Thank you for popping in and saying hello and spending as much time as you possibly can with us. We appreciate that. And I hope that some of the information, that we share is helpful to you. And helpful to your son. Actually, we have several parents here who have autistic children, either as children or as an adult. And and so it's very interesting, isn't it? How we all kind of congregate and gather, and who is drawn to who, right? And which groups and that kind of thing. Yeah, it's so nice. And it's really kind of nice to have so many different beliefs and different ways, perspectives of looking at something in one area. And that's what Star Nation is. I don't know if you've noticed that, but we have everything from pagan to Native American to Catholic to Lutheran to agnostic to there. We have a smattering of everybody here, and I think that we really do respect each other and listen to each other. When we're sharing something, and many times we see it from a wider point of view. And I think that's really good. That's really good. So thank you for being here, Vicki, and sharing what you said. Okay. Well, that's good. Says you help us lots, and I'm also pleased I found this group. So are we. And Pat said the wind is strong here in central Michigan and much colder. Yes, it's about at least a good 10 degrees colder today. Maybe even more than that, probably close to 20. Yeah, my husband, he really likes following weather, and he's got different apps on his phone and that kind of thing. The only thing we don't have is a weather station at the house. Yeah, and I don't understand why he hasn't done that one, but I'm not saying that too loud either. And me, he's always saying something like, "Do you think it's going to rain?" And it's like, I said, it's possible. Or what kind of weather do you think we're going to have? I don't know. I know we'll have some, and I've never been the kind of person who follows that really closely. For some things I do, but not a lot. And so he's telling me about this really strong snow system that's supposed to be coming through in the next day or two. And we're kind of on the edge of it, so we'll probably get a mixture of rain and snow. But to the north of us, they're expecting 15 inches tomorrow. Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy. So anyway, let's get back to the card because we got lots to talk about today. Shaman's death. Now, Shaman's death showed up yesterday and was talking about it's the death and rebirth cycle, and that that allowing things that need to leave in our lifetime for them to actually leave as gracefully as possible, right? And that in that death of symbolic or otherwise is rebirth. And so that when something leaves, it opens up space for the next experience or the next thing to come in energetically, right? But here's the poem. Everybody liked the poem so much. So I'm going to read the poem, okay? It says, Grandfather, I do ask for death, for the parts of me that will not hear or speak the truth, which are too blind to see. Grandmother, give me birth again with love as my guide, truth and beauty as my path, with nothing left to hide. Yeah. And we really liked that poem yesterday. Still do. Jamie Sams, who's the author of the deck of cards, she says that the idea of death as a means to experiencing new life is a common belief. Since all life is seen as a movement on the medicine wheel, nothing is really ending without also being a new beginning. And the steps that we take along the wheel, she says that these steps are called the Good Red Road and represent the spiral flow of life that comes to humans from great mystery. Native Americans have been taught that judging these steps another person must take in order to grow is foolish and unproductive. So in other words, everybody has their own unique experience, right? And that one's path isn't necessarily good or bad next to another's. It's just different. She goes on to say that as the wheel of life turns, all humans will reach the place where they will have to learn similar lessons. This is where Shaman's death comes into play. If the lesson of each spoke on the medicine wheel is learned, the lesson of the next spoke is made available. The shadow side of self, which inhibits growth, is constantly forced to die. These deaths occur on a daily basis, whether they are about our fears, our doubts, or our bad habits, or our negative thoughts, or our self-importance. These deaths mark spiritual progress and speak of the ability of mankind to walk in beauty. A shaman is a person who is willing to confront the greatest fears and shadows of physical life. The shaman, as well as the healer, can effect cures, but only the shaman is trained in dealing with any type of black arts that may have caused illness. And so really, it's the shaman really, and you know how I feel about that word. I know that we all recognize it as a certain definition of a certain spiritual work that we do. But the word shaman doesn't originate with Native Americans. And this is one of those moments that with this particular author, now remember the cards, this deck was published in 1990, right? And it's right around that time, late 80s, early 90s, that the word shaman was really coming into a lot of use here in the United States, okay? Shaman, the word shaman comes from the Sami people, the indigenous people of southern Russia, northern Mongolia, and into Finland, along that between the seas there, near the Ural Mountains, okay? And the Sami, in their language, shaman means one who travels in the dark. And there's so many meanings to that traveling in the dark. And the shaman is the one who will enter the darkness to retrieve, to find, right? And so the one who travels in the darkness also faces the shadow self, and not turning away from it, but turning into it and facing it, right? And because we know that when we face it and we heal whatever it is that causes that shadow, and loving that part of ourselves, is in that soul growth. Okay, and so it's really finding a way to be able to heal it and release it. And so that is the life cycle, is the death and the rebirth, right? Because the rebirth part is the wisdom that you gain from that healing and the releasing. Does that make sense? I think so. Yeah, she goes on to say that that a shaman has walked up to the gates of his or her personal hell and then walked in. The self-created demons of fear, insanity, loneliness, self-importance, and addictions have been confronted and conquered by the shaman who has gone through the gamut of shaman's deaths. The quality that always shines in a true shaman is compassion for the paths that others must walk. Yeah. And generally speaking, many times you don't even know that they're shamans because they don't even talk about it. You know, people find out about the work that they're doing, and they go to them for help, and they usually will help the person as best they can, but they're not going to put out a shingle and say, this is, I'm a shaman. Generally speaking, yeah. Okay, let's see. Oh, here's Vicky. She's saying, I can relate to this card. As I said to my husband a few months ago, I actually feel as though I am dying, ready to be reborn. It's been tough, looking forward to some respite and better times ahead. Yeah. I kind of identify with that a bit. I know that it's going to be different because your son is autistic, right? But so very similar. I have my mom here with us, and she's 99, and she's going to be 100 in June, and she's been here for 8 years, and there's more and more help that she needs. And so my world keeps getting smaller and smaller because I'm in a part of her world, right? And so the respite, yes, is far and few between. But it does happen on occasion, and when it does happen, I enjoy it. I really, really do. And so I can understand that. And Vicki, back in 2017, a little bit of 2016, 2017, all of it, and the early part of 2018, I was going through Saturn in my sun sign, which I didn't know until late in 2017. Yeah, and I could literally feel, and I even told my husband this, I feel like my ego is dissolving. I feel like there's a part of me that's dying, and I've been through the little death before, when I was 17, but this was completely different than that first time, and I was resistant. I was resistant, and the more I resisted, the bigger the challenge was. I made it 100 times harder on myself because I was resisting. And then came, I think it was like September, October, I surrendered and said, I can't do this anymore. I'm done. I can't put up the fight anymore. And things started changing after that. And so I understand what you're saying, Vicki, really. And when I look at this card and I look at the face, I can identify with that and the power behind the card. Because once you stop the resistance, and it's kind of gotten cliched, when you get into the flow of the energy of the shift, it is so much easier. That part I totally agree with. Experienced it. I'm not sure if I'm comfortable with even calling it the flow. In order for people to understand what I'm talking about, I use that phrase. But it's much more than that. It's much more than that. There is that surrendering of your ego and your mental mind. It's not that you get rid of it. It's still there, but I think it's more in a balance. And you truly come to know what it means to be humble. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. And it's in that surrendering, and I know that word can kind of bring up, more of a negative connotation for some people. But the surrender really has more to do with, I think, the ego, and not so much your spirit, but your ego. It's kind of like when you hold a child who doesn't want to be held. Do you ever do that? That they're having a bad day, or they're having some sort of, I don't want to call it a tantrum, but they're just beside themselves, right? And so you try to hold them and hug them, and trying to calm them, and they're flailing. And they can get kind of dangerous with those kicking feet and flying arms. They don't necessarily mean to hurt you, but you kind of get in the way. But that's kind of like a good example is that we're flailing, and our ego is flailing and trying to stay relevant and trying to run the show, right? And as soon as we get tired, you get tired in so many ways, mentally, emotionally, physically, the whole thing. You just get fatigued, and then you surrender, because there's no energy to put toward it anymore, right? And it's in that surrendering, in that, we'll call it a little death, and in that death, or that imbalancing of the ego, you are reborn. You are. Because there's so much that you've let go of, right? And sometimes in that resistance, yeah, I have to sigh about that one, because I remember what it felt like. I didn't want to let go of my old life. I didn't want to let go of it because I liked it the way it was. But it wasn't, it was impeding my soul growth. And so something had to give. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Let's see. Rebirt is saying, what's the name of Jamie's card deck? It's called, let's see if I get this right. It's called the Sacred Path cards. Sacred Path cards. She's got a couple of decks. Sacred Path cards by Jamie Sams, Sams, and it was published in 1990. It's still for sale. Yeah, you can get it at Amazon very easily. One of my favorite stores, right? And Vicky says, yes, I have no more fight. I surrender. I know. I so understand that, Vicky. I really do. What date in June is your beautiful mom's 100 years young? June 8th. June 8th. Actually, my mother-in-law, Paul's mom, and my mom, same birthday, not same date, but same day. Yeah. How did that happen, huh? And Vicky says, oh, yes, we get meltdown, and he's 19 now, wanting to contact with me is all I want to do is cuddle and love him, which he hates. Yeah. So, in a way, that is kind of what our ego is like when we are letting go. And that part of us that has probably been in charge or in the lead for a long time doesn't want to give up the authority, doesn't want to give that up, that imbalance. And so we're used to our lives being a certain way, and when it starts to shift and change, of course, it's some of it is the unknown, right? And for me, a lot of it was the known. I didn't want to go in that direction. I didn't want to have to do certain things by myself. I didn't want to change, right? But in holding on to what should have been let go of, probably even a year before that, impeded my soul growth. And now I can look at that now when I'm on the other side of it over a year, that I can see what that was like, right? Yeah. Just to see it. Let's see. Gina is saying, thank you for explaining Shaman to me. I love watching you because I learned so much. Gina, you're so sweet. You're so sweet. It's my pleasure, actually. I love doing this. And Vicky says, oh, wow, my wedding day is the 8th of June, 23. Oh, my gosh. Wow. Gemini. I'm surrounded by Geminis. I'm a triple Sagittarian, and I have so many Geminis in my life. It's uncanny how many I have in my life. I have probably at least a dozen or more of Geminis in my life. Some of them really very close to me, like my mom and my mom-in-law, and my husband's a Gemini. His twin sister's a Gemini. Polly Joe's a Gemini. That's just a few, just off the top of my head. One of my sisters is a Gemini. Yeah, I have a lot of Geminis around me. All right. So the application of this card. Let's see. I want to make sure that I got all of this. Okay. She says that the finest shamans in our world today are those healers who have walked the path of death and rebirth, destroying the shadows that have blocked their inner clarity. When a shaman can recognize the shadow in the self, diagnosing similar darkness in others is possible. And I have to agree with that. They don't even have to tell you, because you can feel it. You can feel it. And you have compassion for them, because you've been there. You've done that. Didn't get the t-shirt. Didn't want the t-shirt. No. She goes on to say that to shamans, death is just not for shamans. Every time anyone wishes to change old habits and begin life again in a new and more productive way, there is a shaman's death. The duality of the universe will evolve into the uniworld when each person is able to see both sides as equally contributing to the process of awareness. The shaman's death is one symbol of this growing and understanding that leads to wholeness. Yeah. All right. So on the shaman's face, right? I'm going to see if I can get the camera to focus. There we go. I think there. The black and white is bats. Bats. It's the bat is the Mayan and Aztec symbol for rebirth. Bat hangs upside down in the cave, just as humans make ready for birth, nestled upside down in their mother's womb. The darkness of the cave is safe for bat, just as the darkness of the womb is safe for the unborn child. In leaving the womb or the cave, each person is forced to look at the light and the shadow. Then one must make the decision as to which of these sides of the self will allow further growth. So isn't that something to consider our shadow self as a part of us that allows us to grow if we take the opportunity? Because we still have free will. But that's a perspective that kind of makes you sit back and go, the shadow self at times allows us our soul growth. And when I sat with that this morning, I was thinking about It's in that uncomfortableness, that stretch that we do, right? In that growth. And really, there's a term called friction. Friction, right? When something expands, there's also friction to it. And the friction is between our mental mind and our emotional heart. And when we're working at balancing it, in other words, healing our emotions, healing our mental traumas, we're striving for balance. And when the ego is out of balance, and that's part of our shadow self, I can understand how the shadow self can assist us in our soul's growth. Yeah. And because I've been through it, I can honestly say that if at all possible that you can surrender and get into that more even flow of the energy in that change or in that shift, it's not as challenging. It's not as painful. It's not as painful. Yeah. Hey, Bobby is saying daughter Sagittarius and the granddaughter is Gemini. Let me tell you, that relationship between Sagittarius and Gemini, because Gemini is an earth sign, right? And air sign. And the air feeds the fire. And so it took me a long time to figure out why I had all those Geminis around me, because they live a lot in their mind, and they're very chatty, they're very talkative, and sometimes hard to follow because they have this conversation in their own mind, and when they're talking to you, sometimes they start in the middle of the conversation because they already know what they're talking about because they've been thinking about it for a while. But when they start sharing it with you, sometimes they start in the center, and it's like, well, and you're kind of like, what? Wait, did I miss something? Trying to get caught up, what are you talking about? And so it's keeping up with them and their verbalness and thought process keeps me nimble. Jumping from one subject to another. I'm usually pretty good at that. And it's difficult when you have 2 or 3 Geminis talking at you at the same time, trying to get your attention and trying to tell you something, and trying to keep track of all 3 conversations. I used to be able to do that really well. Not so much anymore. But yeah, the air feeds the fire. That's why I have so many around me, is because I'm that triple fire. Yeah. Makes sense to me now. It didn't when I was 20 or 30. Vicky says, wow, that's a lot of Geminis. I know a lot about Gemini. All right, I'm looking at the time. So this is, I want to read you what the application of the card is, because I think that'll help us understand what the message is for today and why Shaman came to us again, okay? The application is, in choosing the Shaman's death card, you're being put on notice that a death cycle or ending is in progress. Before the rebirth can occur, the habit, attitude, relationship, or part of the self that is dying must be looked at, must be examined. It must be considered, or at least acknowledged. Assist the process by consciously allowing the old to be removed. Let go and then make way for the new cycle of life to take hold. Remember that you are creating fertile ground for new adventures when you are willing to let your old identities die. The rebirth cycle is always full of promise and growth when you allow the old patterns to die with dignity. And I have to agree with that. There's dignity in that surrender. There's dignity in acknowledgement that I'm done. I can't put any more energy toward that. Not if I'm going to survive. is that there's dignity in that acknowledgement. And then the follow through, the behavior, right? That's what grounds that emotion to the earth plane. Yeah. And that new you, that's not even the right way to put it. Because it's not new. Honestly, it's not. It is the true you. The you that you are when you came into this physical existence, before all of the belief systems from our parents and from our society, from our culture, started skewing things, right? And before any of the experiences of those traumas or dramas started changing and shifting your energy, your vibration. So it's not really a new you. It's more of an authentic you, the true you, because you just cleared away a whole lot of debris. And so that your true vibration, your true soul song can be heard. And so we step more into that is the true person, or the true being, I should say, the true being. Mm-hmm. And I think we call it the new yous because we don't remember. We don't remember what it was like. Yeah. So it's really an act of remembering. An act of remembering. Okay. I'm going to mark this page, and I'm going to get to the second card. The second card, gotta look at the time, is Dream Time. Do you guys remember this one? Dream Time. And Dream Time is about unlimited vision. Look at all those colors in there. Dream Time. Unlimited vision. And the poem that goes with Dream Time says, Dream Time teaches other realms that exist within the whole. Body double wanders here, solutions for the soul. Touching other sacred space across the Milky Way, traveling to distant stars, connecting night to day. In some cultures, they call this, what we call this current reality, right, is the dream time, the Maya, right? And to dream the dream, to dream the dream. With this particular card in Dream Time, Jamie Sams actually writes about the 4 different aspects of dream, the different way we dream. And one is that, wait, got to turn the page back. So the first dream is called, is a property dream, where passages, events that will bring the dreamer material possessions. Okay. So those are the hopeful dreams. And the second kind of dream is what they call a no account dream. The type of dream that nothing more than ambiguous or foggy remnants of unconnected thoughts. So sometimes those dreams are the ones that help us work out our emotions from that day, right? And so those are the ones that are kind of disconnected, and when you wake up and you're thinking, what the heck was that? It didn't make any sense, right? Those are the ones that help us work out our emotions. And the third one is a wish dream that contained the dreamer's hopes for his or her future, not something material, but for the future, which do not always manifest physically. The fourth kind of dream is the medicine dream and brings visions of the person's future in correct and impeccable form. This type of sleep time dream is a rare gift and is the type most sought after by those seeking the void. It always been tribal custom to keep these dreams to yourself until someone else has told you by a waking vision that you have received a medicine dream. Yeah, following the medicine dreams is still of utmost importance. To deny a message of this proportion is to destroy the validity of the medicine. There are dreams that come from sleep time, but they are not the waking dreams that come from dream time. And this is what we're talking about with this card, is the dream time dream. And the dream time dream is what we would call shamanic journey. Right? It's called unlimited vision. So we're traveling. We're going to different realms, different dimensions. And we can see so much more. I'm going to put see in quotation marks, right? So we're getting information from spirit in those shamanic journeys. Those, we call it soul traveling in my family. And so dreamers are not being acknowledged much today, although I think that there's a renaissance. Because remember, this was written in 1990. And I think in the vibration field that we live in today, I think there's more people that are talking about their dreamtime dreams, right? All right. Vicky is saying, thank you so much. I know why I needed to watch tonight and have some respite and confirmation. Yeah. Spirit, right? Spirit brought you here. She's saying, what a stunning card and all the colors. Yes, very much so. So the Dreamtime dream is about that shamanic journey. It's about traveling to different realms, different dimensions, seeking information, retrieving sometimes all kinds of information. And the application of this card is that if the dream time has called to you, you're being asked to see with unlimited vision. Wipe the dust from your eyes and pay attention to the messages you are receiving from the parallel universe. Our world is pregnant with possibilities. All time is now. You are a co-creator in the two worlds and will be given unlimited sight, knowing if you ask for it. This vision may come in a sleep time dream or through an out-of-body journey. It will give you the insight that you need at this time. Unlimited vision allows any seeker to pierce the veil of unconsciousness and come into an inner knowing. In all cases, this card marks a time of seeing truth on all levels of creation. You're now being given the ability to go beyond the accepted reality. The cocoon is open. Trust yourself, your allies, and your medicine. You may take flight. All right, so dream time is shamanic journey. And look who came to visit, right? Shaman's death. So with these two cards is that when we allow the death and life rebirth cycle happen, to those things that we need to let go of, to balance our ego with our heart, our mental mind with our emotional heart, we can do that dream time journey to find out more information. We can ask for more information from spirit. That we have unlimited vision to be able to do that. Let's see, unlimited vision to do that, right? So, I really, the information coming from these cards today really is about taking a look at what is it that is time to let go of, to let it go with dignity, right? To to do that surrender. And that we have all kinds of help from Spirit. We can even ask for it. We can travel for it ourselves, or we can ask for it to be brought to us in a dream, to understand better about what is really happening here. Why am I going through this? What is it that I must release in order to have my soul growth? Right? We can do that. All right. So there's that card. I told you, there's several cards that dropped out. And I want to make sure I get all of them. Oh, we got one more here. And then we had this one come. And the medicine bundle. And the medicine bundle is about allies support. So we have all kinds of support in this. The medicine bundle has come into your hands today. You're being asked to honor the wisdom of your ancestors and your allies. If you're not sure what the messages are, look at the strengths that are now being given to you and count them as your personal medicine. This assistance is supporting your present path and should be recognized as blessings from your medicine helpers. Through them, you may find the courage to support the self. You're not alone. You're not alone. To have allies, you must also learn to be one. Okay, so here we have our allies talking to us through the cards, telling us that we're not alone. We have our angels, we have our spirit guides, we have our entire spiritual team waiting for us to ask them for help. Your allies. And the last card is Sundance. Sundance is about self-sacrifice. The Lakota, the Osheti Sakoi, I should say, in their language, the Sundance is one of the 7 gifts that were given to the Osheti Sakoi, given to them by White Buffalo Calf Woman, by Spirit. Okay, and Sundance is the culmination of the 7. It's the 7th blessing. So the previous 6 build on each other, and it could take years to be able to reach that 7th blessing. It's walking the good road, right? And so in the Sundance, as you see this warrior is being pierced, right? That's about the Sundance. There's the center tree, the world tree, the sacred tree, the tree of life, and they're tethered to it, and they're dancing, there's singing going on, they're praying in their dancing. The Sundance is all about prayers for the others, prayers for your people. You're sacrificing a part of yourself for your people so that they will have prosperity and abundance and blessings, so that they would know joy and peace. Okay. And so seeing all these cards together is that if we can allow that part of us that we need to acknowledge as our shadow self and allow it to have a dignity in its passing, in its releasing, in its death, so that we make room for the new, or for our true self to come through. Okay? And that we have a whole lot of help for it. We have a whole lot of help for it. We can search for our own information through dream time, or to have information brought to us during our dreams, or we can do our shamanic journey for it. But we also have our spirit helpers. We also have our spiritual team that we can call on to help us when we get into that period of surrender. Now show me the way. What's my next best step? How do we do this with dignity? Right? We learn what it's like to be humble. It's because it's the balancing of the mental mind with the emotional heart. And so we're in balance. We're living our lives from our higher heart, the higher heart. All right. Now, when I show you these cards, I want you to take a really deep breath in. And then on the exhale, looking at all 4 cards and really bringing in the information, both the seen and unseen information for yourselves. If I can get it all into the camera. Let's see. I don't know if you guys can see all that. Okay. So I can move that out a bit. Okay. Taking in the energy, the spirit, the essence of these cards and what it's speaking to us about today. Whatever it is that you're releasing, allowing it to die and to have some rebirth in the new and the remembered of the authentic you, the true you, we have all kinds of help. That you're not alone. And that if you can allow it to go with dignity, acknowledge it and let it go. Let it have a good death. So the next experience can be born, which is your soul growth. Yeah. All 4 cards. So taking in the information with all of your senses, knowing that even though your mental mind might not completely understand the information that's being brought into you, that it's there in its wholeness, that you have received whatever it is that you were meant to receive from the cards, from the energy. Yeah. Oh my goodness, we're at the top of the hour already. Doreen says, 1 daughter is an Aries and 2 are Scorpios and I'm a Leo. Oh my goodness. That's a lot of, well, let's see. Aries and Leo are fire signs, right? 2 Scorpios, 2 water signs. That's a lot of energy there. All right. So anything and everything that we shared today, right? If it resonates with you, my suggestion is to embrace it, to bring it close to you, and see how the energy of the day unfolds for you and where this information could be helpful. If you're a direct participant in it or if you're a witness to it, both are good because both we learn from. And in this respect, it's some big medicine coming through today again. That Shaman's Death card is kind of like, you can feel the energy just bouncing off from that card, right? So, yeah, if it resonated with you, is to embrace it. If it didn't resonate, don't worry about it. It's okay. It's all right. There's always tomorrow, right? And like I say, is that sometimes we're a messenger. We were given the opportunity to some information or something that we can pass on to someone that we know that they've been looking for it, searching for that kind of information, or possibly searching for this kind of community. And so you can just share the recorded show with them, that link, and then you're done. That's all you have to do. Yeah. So There's some deep cards we got today. We dove deep. Yeah. So tonight we have one more show. We have my weekly show, which is called Communications from Home. That's on at 8 p.m. And I'm going to be sharing about the April issue of Star Nations magazine. Tomorrow is our publishing day. Yay! I've been up to here with magazine stuff. And we are poised to publish. And so it's getting the backstory of this issue, sharing with you some of the articles that were written and published in it. And I also have a guest tonight. Leslie Serenesi is going to be joining us. She is one of our contributing writers. She writes in the column communicating with sacred animals. That's it. Communicating with sacred animals. And so she's going to be on with me, and she's going to talk about the article that she wrote called A Listening Post. And so she'll be on the show probably later in the second half hour of the show. Yeah. So 8 p.m. Eastern, if you guys can join me, that would be great. We'd see you in the chat again, right? Tomorrow is Polly Joe's second show, Soul Connections, at 7 p.m. Eastern time. That's a healing show and card divination. She'll draw a card for you at the second half of the show. And then Friday, after this live stream at 3 p.m. Eastern, is Life Wisdom with Ed Langen. And his show is on at 4 p.m. Eastern time. Now, Ed is a law of attraction expert, and he also will lead tapping, and he's also a channel. And so if you have any kind of questions for him, you can post the questions in the live chat, or you could send it to him to his Facebook inbox link, and we'll put it in the comments for you guys. When you ask your questions, the more specific you are with any channeler, the better. Okay, vague questions will get you vague answers. So if you want specific questions, be specific. And especially, sometimes what we do, and this happened, I think it was Bonnie's show. Not Bonnie, I'm sorry, Connie's show. Who's Bonnie? Maybe we'll have Bonnie, I don't know. During Connie's show, there was somebody asked a question, and it was kind of vague, and so Connie did the best she could with it, right? Well, it turned out that the person who asked the question was actually talking about her daughter, and she didn't say that at first. Didn't say that. And so it came across like it was a question for herself, right? Yeah. So when you're asking a question, no matter to what channeler, whether it's Ed or Connie or Polly Joe or any one of the channels not even associated with Star Nations, the more specific you are with your question, the better and more specific your answer will be. Okay? All right. So enjoy the rest of your Tuesday, and we'll see you tomorrow for this live stream and card draw for the group at 3 p.m. Eastern. Okay? Bama Mina. That means in Potawatomi, until we see each other again. Love you guys.